Good evening. Hello, hello. Hi, this is Gifty from Baller Mom, and today I am going to be having another feature guest with me talking about mathematics, sports, and prep school here in Canada. We're going to have Coach Keir join us. He's going to share his story behind his passion, the school that he supports, the teams that he's supporting, the athletes and the family he's supporting, and what you can do to also join and get to know him and his organization. So allow me to add Coach Keir into the conversation. And thank you for tuning. He'll be joining us shortly. Just take it a little bit when you're on IG for it to connect. And hopefully everybody's having a good day. There he is. Hello there. Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
I'm
Good
good.
evening.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. Just
Awesome.
here at the school. Just finished up practice not too long ago.
Okay.
And our club teams have some practices going on, so I hope the ball's bouncing and kids dunking and stuff like that doesn't
That's
interrupt us.
That's okay. Yeah, I got from practice, and I understand. Trust me, it is what we do. It's all just kind of
Yeah,
mitigate different things at the same time for hours. So what is it's what it is. But
yeah.
I want to thank you for coming in and sharing your story, letting us know all the different athletes and the families that you're supporting, a little bit about the prep schools that you're working with, and and if anybody's looking to get in touch with you, how to go about it. So without me saying any further, I'd like to introduce yourself.
All right. Well, hi everybody that's tuning in. My name is Coach Keir Bryan. I'm the head coach of Uchenna Academy, as well as a head coach at Ballmatics Elite. As well, I also work with the JCC. I'm the technical director of basketball there for the all the JCCs in the GTA.
Nice. Wow. You're not busy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm
Not
not
at
busy.
all. Okay. Well, since you're in the sector, you yourself, did you used to play ball?
Yes. Yeah. So as a youth, I went to school at various different schools in the Toronto area, but I finished up my high school career at Eastern Commerce High School, and then from there, I had a basketball scholarship to South Plains College in the United States. It's a Division One junior college in Texas. Um, from there, I was actually supposed to transfer in my sophomore year to Oregon State. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with a heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and that put me in the situation where I could no longer play basketball at such a high level, and so I wasn't able to accept that scholarship, and I had to basically end my playing days at that time. Um, and so, for a while, I was kind of disillusioned. Like I'd worked my whole life to get to that point to, get the good enough to receive a scholarship and all that. And it hurt a lot, right? So like there was a point where I couldn't even watch basketball games at all. Like
Can you
a
imagine?
basketball, yeah, if it was on, I just leave the room. Um, so yeah, it was kind of a tough time in my life, just trying to figure out what I was going to do next and that sort of thing. But um, one day, I started gaining some weight and all that, and I said, let me just start playing again. Just,
Yeah.
some pickup games, nothing too serious. And then, I'm in like at LA Fitness or something, and there was some younger kids there playing, and they were doing something, and I'm like, I tried to show them some things where they could improve, and then they're like, oh, are you a coach? And I'm like, no, I'm not. But that question got me thinking, hey, I know a lot about this game. There's a lot I can give back to these youth that are, trying to maybe possibly do what I'm doing or what I've done. And so I decided, yeah, let me get into coaching, and here I
Wow.
am today.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a blessing. That's a blessing in
yeah,
disguise.
yeah, for
Thankfully,
sure.
good, but you guys did learn for the years to get to where you are, which is great.
Yeah,
You're in the coaching, position now that give back. I noticed that you are helping try to go through that route. D2 or D3 or whatever after journey that they're trying to get to. How
Right.
go about, guiding them, anything shooting for the stars, but sometimes it may pause or something. Just from the mental aspect of how do you go about supporting them that, you know, all their baskets is not in one, just in case something, how do you go about.
Yeah, so like in terms of supporting them, in terms of if they're if the, like I the internet here is kind of cutting out in and out, so I kind of missed a little bit of what you said. So could you just ask a little bit more, so I make sure that I answer your question
So
correctly?
I was trying to find out if you can share from your experience, knowing how far you got, and then you had, a little pause, different routes and different routines. You're back here as a coach, but then you see students, athletes now going through that journey, and you can see them projecting to that level. But you want to make the right path, just in case anything hiccups may come for them. You
Hmm.
like mental or emotional, like what are some of the guidance that you're doing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
support them
it
so
definitely,
that
you're
they
correct.
know shit
So
can happen. There's
right, yeah. So, like you said, having had that experience and knowing that, I worked so hard to get to that point and then it was all derailed just by something that was totally out of my control. I definitely do preach to the youth that I'm involved with that they do have to also make sure that they have everything else aligned. That's the blessing about working with Ballmatics and also with Uchenna Academy is that, education is number one, it's paramount and there's no foundation without that education. So, I mean, even if some of our kids have like the potential to move on to the next level for sure. Maybe next year, maybe a couple years down the road, but they have that potential, but they won't be able to realize that potential without their education. And that education gives them a, a foundation that if anything were to happen, like such as myself, where they were not able to play basketball anymore, they would still have something to work with in regards to their life. Myself, because I had an education, I moved on I still went to college. I studied digital animation. Because I was into creative things like that, I got into digital animation, and then moving on from there, as a young adult, I worked as like a graphic designer, a web designer, all these different things. But all that was possible because I had a foundation based in education. So it gave me the opportunity to be able to pursue those different careers. And then even here now with my coaching job, there's so much technical things that we do as coaches behind the scenes that involve the necessity of an education, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not just simply, drawing up a couple of plays and, you know, yelling a couple of things for the kids to do, move their feet here, this and that. There's a lot more to it. Like, especially now being here at a prep school, I'm talking to colleges and universities about my student athletes, and I have to, help guide them through that process, and that process means that I have to understand the pathways of education and how
yeah.
to lead them in the directions they need to go.
I love the fact that if I can count how many times you said education, we're probably up to like part, which is so important. The one
Yeah.
always start here, student first and athlete second. Student of the book, student of life, student of experience. And being an athlete is part of being a student. Like you're learning to it to continue and join, do it together. And I love that emphasis that with Ballmatics and Uchenna Prep School, the combination of it. And with that being said, there is a lot of unknown when it comes to these prep schools. Oh my God, where is it? What does it mean? Are they going to play sports all day? What about their math? What about their science? What about their arts? What about the necessary things that people, especially, teenagers go through when they're in high school experience? So take into, give us a snippet of a day, particular athlete that's in your program from start to finish to give an idea over experience that you're getting by being part of.
Oh yeah, definitely. So our daily routine for our student athletes. So we have two types of student athletes at our school. We have some that actually live on residence here with us, and we also have some that are just from the GTA and they commute to school. So for, like for example, we have a student athlete on our team who's from Ajax. So his day probably starts about 5 a.m. in the morning. He gets up, he's got to eat and shower, whatnot, and get on the transit and head all the way down from Ajax all the way here to be ready for classes at 8 o'clock. And normally we do some, my assistant coach sometimes comes in early and does some, training with them as well. So that means that he's coming in at 7 o'clock to do that.
Wow.
So his day is a long day just to begin. So they'll do a little bit of training in the morning for about an hour at 7 o'clock, and then they'll go into class about 8 o'clock. From 8 till about 11:30, they're in classes. So they're in classes for about 4 hours in the day. And they do two different classes. We are on a quadmester system, so they'll do their first class for 2 hours, and then they'll have a little bit of a break, and then a second class for another 2 hours. Followed that, they have their lunch. But during their lunch, what we're doing now is we're doing a film study. So we do a little stretching session, and then just to get them ready study for
Yeah.
about half an
You're a
hour,
little bit
and
paused, but
then
it
we
will.
head on into our practices. And our practices will go from about 1:15 until about 5:30 in the evening. Not to mention on the weekends they're doing SAT prep with our academic director. She helps them through their SAT prep so that they can get prepared. Like I said, there's no going on with basketball without the education. And for us, it's important that they also take their SATs and score well on those SATs. So we've got them doing that as well. So that's they're very busy kids. It's very involved. We just came back from Dayton, Ohio. While we were there, we were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go watch the University of Dayton play against UMass. And then after that game, we were able to go down onto the court and wait and speak with one of the assistant coaches there. And he
Yeah.
shared with them their schedule. And their schedule, it's a little bit different to ours, but it's quite similar. So
Okay.
these kids are being prepared for that next level. And
Yeah.
so the academics and athletics are combined, and that's what they're getting daily here at Uchenna Academy.
I love that. I love it. Like, like again, there's a break. You get to eat, you get to socialize. You're still learning the skills of gaining the academic aspect of it because as much as you want to be a good athlete, you still need the books. You still need to
That's right.
and such a support system. You have your sister right there, you have somebody helping them with the activities and understanding it. I think that's a great view for it. Um, what if parents that are looking say, I want my child to come there, but they're not so great at their academics. They're good in athletics. How do you combine the two to make sure that they get the best of both worlds so that, you know, yes, we need you to be in the gym for 2 hours, but you're going to get extra tutoring, let's say, to work on your math or to work on your English. Is there flexibility in that, or is the structure of the schedule is set there, regardless of your level?
No, you're right. There is flexibility in that. We have, some great teachers here, and especially like our academic director. She really takes ownership of that. And so, if there's students that need some extra assistance, she or that student's teacher will be willing to, put in that extra time with them to help them
Nice.
with whatever it is they need to work on. So it's not the structure is there, and they definitely need the structure, but there is flexibility where somebody's available to help them should they need, um, to work on something or should they need extra assistance with something that they're studying at the moment.
Oh my goodness, I like that. Now, I what September? I think you start August
Yeah,
or
we actually started our training camp in August, but
oh,
school itself started in September. But the
it's
kids were here training in August for about 3 weeks in the month of August. We started
what
August the 16th.
grade that you start from and finish?
Sorry, say that again.
Grades. What grades are?
what grades do we have here? Well,
Nice.
our school offers grades 9 through 13. So basically like grade 9 through post grad right now. Right now we're a small school, as probably a lot of people know. So that's the other thing when going back to the academics again.
Mhm.
One of the advantages is that there's three or four guys in your class. So there's a lot of one-on-one time with your teacher.
Yeah.
So that allows you to also keep up with the studies that you're doing. But yeah, we start from grade 9 right now, and go up to post grad. Currently, we just have our grade 11s and 12s and one post grad enrolled in our program.
Okay.
But we'll be expanding, as you know.
I like now, I'm part of the project, and I want my time here because I see the great work that you're doing, especially with a couple of the travel you're doing, the highlight videos that you're doing to showcase some of these student athletes. Um, I want to apply for just the criteria that you look for, in making sure that you meet these. These are great. Then we see these are the areas that we can start that conversation. What are some of the
Well, one of the criteria student athletes is
It's okay.
one,
You're
the
a little bit
passion.
paused, but yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, the connection on my cell phone is killing me right now. But okay, what I
It's
was
over.
saying is that yeah. So what I was saying is that one of the criteria that I first look at in terms of student athletes is passion for the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, is this kid somebody who's going to come in and work hard and really be committed to the program and really be able to make the sacrifices that it takes to be successful in this program, because it's not easy, right? So that's one of the main things that I look at. So
Great.
when we have ID sessions and that sort of thing, I'm looking at that first. I'm looking at the student athlete's attitude and their approach to the things that we get them to do in that ID session, and how they approach that. So that's number one. Then obviously the skill, dribbling, passing, shooting, all the basic things that you would need to have. We like to look at their basketball IQ. A lot of that obviously we're going to be teaching, but it's great when you have a kid coming in that's already demonstrating a certain level of IQ in terms of their skill set. Then, of course, like I hate to say it, but we do look at size, right? At this level, we're facing other teams who, they've got a roster of 15 kids, and seven out of those 15 kids are 6'9". So, right
Right.
now, like my team that I have right now, we're not the biggest team out there, right? So we definitely, we look at size, but skills, pay the bills, they say, but size wins the prize, kind of thing. So
Oh,
we're definitely looking for kids with size for sure.
okay.
But that's not to say that we won't, accept kids that don't have size if they have all the other intangibles. Hard workers, that's a kid that's going to come in and work hard, isn't afraid to work hard, isn't afraid to fail. Like I work around a lot of kids, as you know, because I also do work at MLSC Launchpad. And one of the things that I've noticed about this generation is that they have this thing where they'll be like, oh, he's a try hard. Oh, why is he trying so hard? You know what? I love those kids that try hard,
Yeah.
and are not afraid to try hard. So if you're
Yeah.
not afraid to try hard, then you're welcome in my program, right?
Okay.
So those are just some of the things that I look at in our student athletes, and also student athletes who understand the value of education, right? Because again, like I said, you can be the greatest basketball player in the world, but if you can't qualify, then you can't go on to that next level and play Division 1. You can't play at a Division 2. You're not going to get accepted at a Division 3 school if you don't have that academic basis, and you have to have that
More
want for that
for
academics.
academics to
Yeah.
yeah. I like that. And I think that a lot of parents, we emphasize academic. We know we know you love sports. You don't want to be old school cliche, school first or anything, but you do need that understanding, be able to know what it is. that you're doing. And I always say, if you get a contract and you can, the person, the one that wrote it, you put your name in there. You can come out 4 years later and be broke, and they own everything that's on you, right?
That's
And
true.
you have to file your taxes because you never that you're all focused on, being the and using your body, but anything our bodies can break down, but our brains can. So I love
That's true.
it. Ballmatics and Uchenna, school focus and emphasize on both the as well as the athletic side, not just a one-way street. So if you're looking for something like that, here and make sure that it's a grind and each other and together. It was a journey. It's not because we all have different people helping to where it is in the market. Just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Ethan, a great interview always. He's also a point of a professional athlete the same process. Good to hear from others. That's good. Now, when it comes to you talk about the recruiting part of it, and when you talk about skills between the academic and athletic side, and I think a little about the pursuit. Are these students getting homework? Is it or is it asking you more to do your training? Because that's the last one. You have homework. I was wondering, do they ever even get homework?
Yeah, they definitely do get homework. They've got a lot of homework. Right now, they're right at the end of the quadmester, and they've got assignments. I see a lot of them are actually logged on here right now, but they're I'm pretty sure that they're doing that while doing their homework because they've got the various different assignments that's due, and they also have exams coming up because it is the end of the
Oh,
quadmester. So yeah, they definitely have homework. It's unavoidable. Like this is a basketball academy, but it is a school first and foremost, and so they're going to get
okay.
homework because the courses that they're taking have to be completed, and they have to be completed and done well. Like I said, in order for them to qualify, they need a certain GPA to qualify, and that's important for us. And so all of them have homework, and they should be
Like,
working on it right now if they aren't. Just a little
oh,
reminder to those that are watching.
a little pause, watch and support about them.
Yeah.
But after this, you can go back, continue your assignment, hand it in. And you mentioned that the school is pretty small. It's a tight knit community that encompasses in the smaller classroom. There's a lot more one-on-one. So talk about you and what makes
Sorry, the last part you said there, I think you asked what makes it special.
yeah, there's just culture
Yeah.
with
Yeah, so yeah, that aspect of it right there that you mentioned, being a small school, being a tight knit community, like right now, we have a separate campus specifically for our basketball players. So there's no other student after there's no other students here, just the basketball team, right? So they're with each other every day, you know, from 8 in the maybe 7 in the morning till 5:30 in the evening. They're with each other, so they have an opportunity to really get to know each other really well. I think that that's special. I think that um, being in a school that has small class sizes where their teachers can really focus on each and every student, and if they need assistance, they can really help them. I think that's very valuable for them. And I think as well as in terms of a basketball team, I mean, we're still trying to figure it out. The kids are a lot of them are this is their first experience at a school like this. This is their first experience working this hard on a daily basis, and playing against the competition we're playing against because um, in the U.S. we play in the Prep South Conference, which is actually a postgraduate conference, whereas I have mainly underclassmen on my team. So we're facing kids that are already supposed to be in Division 1 already. And most of the teams are loaded with, you know, a crazy amount of talent, and so these kids are going through the storm right now. Like
Wow.
we're facing some teams, and we're being pushed to the limit, and they're doing that together, right? Like they're we take our trips. We had a really nice bus. We drove down to the U.S. You know, there's camaraderie on the bus. There's all these different activities and all that kind of stuff. All of this is happening, and it's making them better for it. So I think that that's part of what makes this program special as well, right? Like being put through that fire that they're going through. I think in
Mm-hmm.
the end, when we're finished at the end of the year, we're going to see a tremendous improvement, and they're gonna be better off for it. I mean, I'm already seeing it. We're about 12 weeks in, I think, and I'm seeing it in them physically. I'm seeing their maturity level change. I'm seeing a lot of positive things besides just like the things that you would look for, like how many points is a kid scoring, or how many wins are you getting, or whatever. They're maturing as young men, and
Yeah,
really understanding what it is to really sacrifice for a team and go through some things as a group of young men, trying to all accomplish a goal. So I think that that really makes our program special, and makes them as young men special in the end.
that's good. Like they're building a lifelong brotherhood there
Right.
with each other, whether you're
Yeah.
road or a home game, that which is great. You did mention about a couple of travels, and I think I've seen a couple of your videos showing that you're on route to other parts of the states playing. You're a little bit paused, but I'm here. You talked a little bit about some of the experiences or one of the teams that you play there in the U.S. One of the something one of the parents look for is how much is this going to cost us to travel all the time, right? Based to stay here, or you travel a lot more to give them that experience or that um experience. Where's the combination in terms of playing against other teams here, mainly in the U.S.?
Sorry, I apologize. I missed a lot of what you said because my connection again.
That's
If you could
fine.
try to repeat it again. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just trying to say if you explanation or guide play that you're playing. Are you mainly a team that travels more people want to bring them to the highest level as well? Or are you also doing it within other teams here in Canada who are almost about the same level or maybe a little bit higher to give them that home game? What's the combination between that or the split between?
Yeah, we do compete. We do it like there's a heavy travel component, but that's about maybe 50% of our games, and then the other 50% would be here
Okay.
locally. We're starting to set up like exhibition games with other local clubs. We also play in the Premier Prep League as well, so that happens here. I think most of the games are going to be played out of the playground in Oshawa, in Durham.
Yeah.
So we're playing in that. So they definitely will get that local competition aspect of it as well. That's probably going to be about 50% of it. We'll be doing some exhibition games and things of
Yeah.
that nature. Also, we have like right now our facility is still under construction. We have our practice court, which is where we practice right now, and I'm actually sitting in one of the classrooms while teams are
Okay.
training. But right next door to
It's
that, like right right next door is our actual home gym. It's almost complete. We're just the one of the nets just got put up today, and another one is going to probably be hoisted tomorrow, and then the floor will be finished. And then probably by the end of this month, we'll be having home games here as well. So we'll start to invite other clubs to come down and play against us right here in our facility. So right here in downtown Toronto, you'll have some high-level prep school basketball that if you're interested, maybe
yeah.
depending on, I guess, the COVID situations, you can come through and check it out.
I was gonna say I will come to one of these games for sure and just come and cheer out. Or one of the parents always had just
That'd
come
be
there to
awesome.
watch it and at the different level. I've been from day in day out. it's a great experience. I think it's good. It's great that you're giving these exposure. Now, talking about exposure, what are some of the things you're doing to get athletes to get know them? Because eventually, yes, you travel there and play, and it's only within that particular age. What are some of the benefits that your program does and give to athletes to give them that exposure beyond the circles of the drum?
Yeah, so we one of the things that every game that we play
It's
is
okay. It's
videotaped.
slow,
Yeah, sorry about the connection again. Yeah, so what I was saying is that every game is videotaped,
right?
and those videos are obviously we break them down and put together like highlight reels and everything for our student athletes, and then we market our student athletes to the universities and colleges that we think would fit their level or that they're interested in attending. We just recently had our guidance counselor sit down and discuss with them where they would like to go, what schools are they interested in, stuff like that. So then uh, I'll start reaching out to some of the coaching contacts I have and, start marketing these student athletes from that aspect.
Okay.
We invite the coaches to come out to the games when they're obviously in a period when the coaches are able to come out to the games. And, right now a lot of the coaches are starting to get into their season. So, that can impact that. But we're doing a whole lot of things. We have a system that all of the universities and colleges here in Canada and in the United States are connected to. So once I reach out to a coach, they can then actually connect onto that player's profile and watch all the video that they have available and get to know that student athlete and actually start following that student athlete throughout the rest of their career here with us at Uchenna Academy. So that provides them with a day in day out look at this student athlete from afar. And then if they're interested, they'll hit me up and they'll actually come through and check them out live in person, and go from there. So there's a lot of exposure opportunities available to them. We'll be traveling all year. We'll be playing in the Prep Nationals in South Carolina as well. Besides what we're doing in the Prep South, we still have South left, and
Okay.
obviously, the Premier League. And the great thing about all these things that we're doing is that we're doing it against other high level prep schools
Team.
with kids that are being
Okay.
recruited as well. So our kids get seen just by being in competition with these other
Wow.
student athletes. So, you know,
That's good. Wow.
it's quite extensive.
Yeah, it's extensive. But that's exactly what everyone's looking for. I mean, it's not about being the top number one, two. It's about understanding the skills and the type of player that you are. Um, Build a
Hmm.
certain coach team, whether it be here or in US. Now, on your goal is to try to get all the US, or are they?
No, the goal is for them to pursue the education that they want to pursue. Whether
Okay.
that means that they're going to be going to a school in the United States or whether that means they're going to be, staying right here with us. There's some great universities here in Canada that offer some excellent education and some excellent basketball, right? So it's really up to the student athlete at the end of the day and what suits them. Like I said, there's varying levels, right? And there's also other things to consider besides just playing basketball. What program does that university offer? What program am I interested in taking? Is that program
Mm-hmm.
the program for me? And is this university offering the program that I want to take first of all? And is it a good program that I want to be involved in, right? So, if it means that maybe the University of Toronto or Ryerson or York is the better university in terms of the academics, perhaps maybe it's better for them to stay here and compete for those teams, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not one to say, oh, you've got to go to school in the States, and that's where like there's a lot of people who go to school here in Canada and still end up playing pro basketball. And let's not forget that we have our own pro league here as well,
Yes.
right? So, and there's a lot of great young men. and young women out there playing professional basketball that attended schools here in Canada. So it's really about the particular student athlete.
Yep.
What do they see for themselves in
All
their
right.
future, and where they fit in, right? Because I mean, again, there's some kids that are really good and that can go to a Division 1 school, but are they going to be the top priority at that Division 1 school? Maybe they're better off at a D2, or maybe they're better off staying here because they're going to get more experience and an opportunity to play more and still get a really good education. So all those things have to be considered. So I'm never one to say, there's one path and one path only. There's several paths, and everyone's path is different.
Exactly. Yes, I love that. It's my mantra. Well, everybody's making their own way, and I think it's great that what you guys are providing to these is, even though you're still a group as a community, that you're still understanding each person need and trying to guide them to where that they now from a parent,
Exactly.
because I mean you're with them 27 a lot, the parents are. Where's the communication relationship with the parents and making sure that they're saying yes, child in school, I have them in this program, they are getting the best on it. What's the the return on sort of the investment for me? What's the type of communications that you do to engage them to give my yes, we are in the right school and program, and we're going to continue.
So you're saying what's the communication that we have with the
Yeah,
parents?
the parents
Yeah,
coming,
sorry, because of the connection, you're dropping in and out a bit, so I'm just trying to
no
piece it
problem.
all together. Sorry. Yeah, so we're in communication with the parents quite a bit. Myself, not as much, but depends. It depends. Like all the parents have access to me. They have my phone number. They have my email. They have me on IG. Sometimes I'm talking to parents on IG at 12 o'clock at night. Um,
Wow.
you know, so I do communicate a lot with some of the parents. But mainly our school administration, they communicate with them um, as well, and we're always letting them know what's going on. Like I mean, it's just like a regular school. You have your we have like a parent teacher sort of thing via Zoom, because of the COVID stuff. I myself, for each of the student athletes, I wrote out a report on them and their development and how they're doing in our program. Probably it was about 3 pages or something, like I can't remember now, but it was a lot, and it was an extensive breakdown of everything that I was seeing from them right at the midterm of our quadmester, just to give the parents a heads up about how their student athlete is doing
Hmm.
in the program,
That's
both
great.
both physically, as well as emotionally, and obviously academics is covered in that as well, right? So there's definitely a lot of an open door policy here in terms of communication, and there's definitely a lot of information that's disseminated to our student athletes' parents, and I'm quite hands-on with the team. These guys are like my sons. Like these guys are like my kids. Like so, it's very important to me how they do and how they are doing, and on a day-to-day basis. And so, the communication for that aspect is key.
I like that. And one of your students, he can attest to that, saying, "Here's the goat." So yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Did
what's up, man?
you treat them as your own child, or in the love and the dedication
Yeah,
all the way through?
yeah.
Um,
Being
Caring is mainly for male student athlete, correct?
We definitely want to get into having female athletes as well, but right now the program is for males. Uh, I don't know when exactly we'll move on to having a girls program, but it's definitely on my top priority. I really wish we could have had one
Great.
now, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only one person, so
Yep.
I gotta take my time. I've already
Yep.
got 3 jobs, so
Up. You can't spread yourself. That's okay. So
yeah,
yeah,
I wish.
there any other support or assistance, definitely let me know. Worried out. Know that.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
started out the benefits of school and everything. You take behind the school and how it sort of started. Because when we had this pandemic, a lot of other students that were supposed to graduate, they kind of got the pause, get that opportunity to showcase themselves, to be able to even do the test and pass and go to either US, even continue here in university because of all the things that was going on. And we did see a lot of private preparatory schools and come in and say, hey, if this option didn't work out, come join us. These are the benefits that we can give you. And just taking up back a little bit of the history of Uchenna and the concept behind it and how it started, showing that it's not just an overnight thing, but there's a solid foundation. Your system works and it's going to continue to work years.
Yeah, so Uchenna started off actually, it was founded by Dave McNee and Claudia Mandichik. And basically, how they started out just working with the community. I actually met them uh, because I work at MLSC Launchpad, and they have a program there. Obviously, like the Ballmatics program, which is a blend of math and basketball. And Uchenna itself was basically a part-time school where students who needed assistance with courses that maybe they weren't doing so well in their regular school, they
Mhm.
went to Uchenna to basically upgrade those courses, or take courses that maybe take an extra course, or a course, or
Okay.
just to
Yeah.
fine tune their marks and stuff like that. So Uchenna has been around since I think 2013, and it's an offshoot of QSLA, Quantum Sports Learning Association, which is what all started off Ballmatics and the math and basketball program. So I met Dave and Claudia there, and then the three of us, we clicked, and for some reason, I always said to myself it would be great to blend academics with basketball, like really like the two, working hand in hand, and then meeting them was, like, well, look, it's right here, right? So
Was
we
meant.
got together. Yeah, it was meant to be, right? We got together, and we started off with just offering like the Ballmatics Elite program for like rep and AAU. And we also started off offering like a mini Ballmatics program for the little young ones. My daughter and my son were actually in the first classes and all that, and so we've been working, and then we really wanted to focus on bringing the school into into fruition as a full-time program where student athletes who had aspirations of playing at the next level could really come here and really thrive both academically and athletically. And so that's how it all came to be.
Oh my goodness, I like that. So I will now steer just a little bit into the formatics aspect of it because, like you mentioned, it's a cohesive organization along with athletics, but the academic side of it, and
Hmm.
it's great name ball and it's such a
Yeah,
great concept. So what are some?
yeah.
And I know you had some summer camps, you had camp where you combine both, learning the numbers and doing the sport. And if anybody knows when you're watching a game, you're looking at your stats. So those are numbers. You're looking at
Mhm.
your percentage of shooting and dribbling. There's NBAs and all these sports leagues have so many statistics out there for so many
Yeah,
things, and you need to understand how the numbers come up, how what the mathematics in there, how they get the percentage, how do the Raptors end up in the 15, 500 numbers. Like we asked from somebody on the side looking at it, like, what's all this? Okay, they're number one, great, but there's a concept. So take a
yeah.
little bit of how you break that in. Well, I do. I came to do. Like, how do you break that to them to understand the concept of it? Because it's everything that comes in, including the numbers and mathematics aspect of it.
Yeah, so the way how the program like originally started off is just like you said, right? Like there's so many aspects of basketball that involve statistics and need the numbers. from shooting percentage to, turnover to assist ratio. All these different things are very
Mhm.
important for basketball players to understand and for basketball coaches to understand and utilize. And we let the kids know that from the beginning. So when we were doing the Ballmatics program, for example, what would happen is that we would have a short math lesson before the program starts, where the student athletes would be taught a math lesson, be it Pythagorean theorem or, you know, um, like anything mathematics, they could be taught. And then we would then make them do activities on the court that related to those teachings. So, for example, if it was a variable that you needed to find, then maybe you're shooting the number was variable X,
Yeah.
and then
Don't
variable
worry.
Y was the number of rebounds that you got or whatnot in that specific activity, and then those statistics are put together and used to do that math problem, kind of allowing these young students and basketball players to see how basketball and mathematics and academics in general align, right? And all the while they're having fun. When we started the Ballmatics Elite program, we did that as well. So they were having basketball practices, but prior to the practice or in between the practice, there would be a portion of the practice that there was a math lesson. And then
Mhm.
we had an actual teacher there. They would be doing their math lesson, and then we would do activities on court. And there would be certain activities within the practice that related to that math lesson where we would get data from. And then that data we would stop and we would go back to they would go back to their sheets. We'd always give them like worksheets, and then they would use those worksheets to work out the answers to those problems based on the information they gathered while doing the basketball activities. And then we would go back to regular basketball practice and go from there. Sometimes it was a competitive thing where your shooting percentage versus mine, or all those different things. It just making it competitive, fun, but educational at the same time.
I love it. I like that because, I mean, for us, we're watching, everyone's looking at the score point. And we know that's number goes behind how they get the score point, how they move, the position they stand, how many times they pass it, how many times somebody catches it. So understand the numbers behind that, I think, is key. And I love that you are not just directors knowing this and telling them, you're actually getting them involved. And they themselves do your own measurement and calculation for themselves to know how they are
Right,
progressing day to
right.
day, year, week to week. And I think it's something that hopefully a lot of programs can include that in as part of their metrics or as part of their system, because you need to understand
Yeah.
those are numbers. I ask you,
Yeah, it allows the students to
when,
take ownership of it, right? Like
yeah,
they take ownership of their education. They take ownership of obviously the way they're playing as well, and
mhm.
and and the two work hand in hand for them.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so great. I love that. So any parent you're looking to, tell them say, hey, school is good and sport is good is a combination for both. Here, Belmatics and Uchenna Prep School combines both the academics along with the athletics part of it. And it's not just telling the athletes to do it, you actually let them experience and learn how to do it themselves. So they themselves can carry let's say your own resume. They know better percentage wise, week over week, day over day, how they're progressing. So this is, I love it. I love it. And honestly, when COVID and everything is fully restricted and everything is lifted, I'm definitely coming downtown to come and watch some of your games and cheer and maybe lose a couple of my a little bit too. And
Yeah,
then
definitely. We'll be
as
happy
I
to
said,
have you.
yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be focusing on the numbers per se, but I'll be more on just enjoyment that they're, they're showing and that they on the court. Along
Yeah,
with, on the end of the day, we're trying to support these kids to do what they love and they're good at. And
yeah,
people love by doing it makes it so much easier. Knowing that you
yeah,
put your program and what they're coming out of it, like you were saying before, the combination between the bonding, the bond the ground is great. Now, getting back into a little parent side, because I'm all from a parent side. What if, a year in, the parents are saying, oh, it's a little bit too much. I can't afford it. I'm not sure I want to do anything like that. You, you said you like to do a parent guide, parent teacher interview guidance and things like that. And screen and sport is not, it's not cheap. It's not as cheap thing, simple thing to do. What are some, you have any support that you give to the parents who want their kids in there, but they're a little bit hesitant because maybe financial or physical location or or transportation or anything like that is blocking them. Does your program provide any additional support in helping them make that decision so they can apply to join your program?
Yeah, so we have a few options there that we can assist. One, in terms of like a student athlete that maybe like um, is living in like really far away from us. We do have a housing option available for them where they are able to stay. They actually the house is just 500 meters away from our school, so it's a short walk from here. So they have that opportunity. We've actually got a number of our students in that in residence there. So there's that assistance, and then financially, we have two options. We do offer merit-based scholarships. So when student athletes apply to join our program and they obviously are gifted enough to be selected to join our team, if there is a financial barrier, we do have scholarships available that are limited, and those are offered to those student athletes, as well as they have an opportunity to apply to our foundation, the QSLA Foundation, for bursaries as well. So there's limited bursaries there available to them as well. So there is some support
Great.
available to families that would be in need, and obviously have a young athlete or student athlete that is worthy of attending our school. We try our best to see how we can make it manageable for them, and also just in terms of like payment and whatnot. There's a payment plan available. There's no penalty if you miss a payment and have to make an arrangement. There's a lot of things in place to
I
to
like
really allow allow this to work for everybody.
I like that. So whether you miss a payment, you're out. Like just the holistic supporting the students and the athletes from beginning to the end. It's a business, but you're not all about just trying to your money and not get back out of it. And being
Yeah.
said with rewards that you're providing so much detail because you're spending so much time with these students that you get understand exactly how they did is feeling physically, mentally. That's it's great. It's really good. I'm so glad that this program exists. This school is more opportunities for other kids coming up or next level. With mentors, I would say doing that as well. Um, uh, we're in still lockdown a little bit, not so much, and you still have the flexibility of traveling back and forth. You may a little bit about your gym. You may have home game. You're gonna have a little bit more in-person activities and things like that. What else can we look forward to post-COVID pandemic world in the perfect world, if there was ever a normal life that we can look forward to your program that you want to share with us so that we can stay tuned and say yes, we're looking forward to this coming.
Yeah, so definitely we're going to continue building our AAU program up as well. So you'll definitely see more about that as it gets closer to the spring summer. Prior to that, the school itself will be starting to have ID sessions. We want to definitely make sure that we have a junior program next year. We had a lot of students express interest in the junior program, but it wasn't quite enough to form a full program of it. So we kind of have those students on a waiting list, and then we'll have some ID sessions. So any grade 9, grade 10 age students that are interested in, developing their game and getting prepared for the next level, they definitely should get in contact with us as soon as possible. Get yourself on our mailing list so that we can definitely let you know about when those ID sessions are going to start. And obviously, we'll be doing ID sessions for next year as well. Um, and we do want to also expand our postgraduate offerings because
Yeah. Don't worry. It's good.
the whole pandemic and everything, it has kind of made it a problem for a lot of graduating student athletes that are in grade 12. Right now there's a lot of high school age students that are not actually going to get an opportunity to play basketball this year, and they're going to miss their senior year and not be able to showcase what they have. So we definitely
Mhm.
want to we're also going to be promoting our postgraduate program to really get a post grad team going for students that maybe missed last year or are missing this year, so that they can have an opportunity to get after it basically,
I like
and also an opportunity to see if they can pursue their dreams of playing at that next level, and having their education paid for while doing it. So there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. Our facility will be complete, and I've made a lot of great connections already. So you should see a lot of collaborations with some of the schools that we've played against in the United States with us, maybe bringing them up here and
wow.
showcasing their talents as well as showcasing the talents that we have around with some of the other schools and all that as well. So there's going to be a lot happening um,
A lot.
from our yeah,
I look.
definitely.
I'm gonna wind off a little bit
Okay.
and finish it off with a nice, simple, just one more last thing about you. Thank you so much for sharing um, the great support that you're giving to the family, the students, and the athletes, and the fact that you emphasize on the academics. That is like one of my main things. Great to me as a
Hmm.
parent, making sure education for especially
Yeah.
in this day and age, because if anything we learned from pandemic, you did definitely need because the ball did stop for a while and you need a backup of
Yeah.
something to fall into. Well, that's great.
For
Now,
sure.
with that being said, and knowing what you've gone through, circle to come here, what is one of your most or saying that you use as guidance that keeps you going?
Like a motto or a saying? Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah,
Is I always
yes,
tell
yeah.
the kids, it's you have to have the right attitude, the right focus, the right effort, and the right execution. And I apply
Mhm.
that to them on court. I apply that to them in their life. I apply that to them, in terms of academics, in terms of just the way how they deal with people, how they interact. All that stuff is important. So attitude, focus, effort, and execution. That's my thing.
Attitude, focus, execution. Uh, Attitude, focus, execution,
Effort,
and effort.
effort and execution. It can be either one. They're both E's. It,
Yep.
it, it actually, if you say it out, it's AFI. So like anyone that has a West Indian background, Jamaicans especially, they say you AFA have it. So you gotta have that
Exactly.
that attitude, the focus, the effort, and the execution. All right.
Execution. I like. We'll leave it there for that. Thank you so much. It's
You're
been
welcome.
great
Thank you for having me.
sharing your story, sharing all the advice you're giving to the athletes and that turn in. Especially the athletes, you can go back and do your homework now because you have to hand it in probably later on tomorrow, sometime during the week.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
think
you guys continue to keep sharing your stories, the features, giving the exposure to them. And as always from a parent's perspective, we appreciate that. It's so great to see that it's not just only one, but your focus is making sure kids are growing whole human, which is great, especially in this day and time. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that you're doing for the basketball community here in Toronto and in Canada, and the basketball community at large, and just the community in general. Individuals like you who, have this selfless encouragement for the development of our youth is very, very important, and we need more people like you. So I really appreciate it, Gifty. Thank you for having me.
Thank, thank you. I'll leave it right there and have yourself a good night. And we'll chat on on DM every now and then. All right.
All right, definitely.
Bye,
Take care. Bye.
everyone.